Welcome. This is 80 Unplugged, a podcast focusing on songwriters. We feature artists from all different parts of the musical journey and dive into the story behind their songs and creative process. I'm AD, a songwriter and music enthusiast, and with me today is an artist whose raw vocal power has given him the nickname The Voice at local open mics. He's the man behind Desperate Sounds. It's Jeremy Gross. How are you today, Jeremy?
I'm all right.
Could you share a little bit about your songwriting journey? What motivates you to write, and why do you feel passionate about it?
The journey is, I started writing songs 27 years ago, something like that. Once I started learning to play guitar, I started writing songs. And I'll touch a lot of the stuff from that long ago, but it's been a process of learning. The current iteration of what I do, Desperate Sounds, it's the motto I run on is it's songs for people in it. I have been through a lot of different circumstances in my life, experienced a lot of things, and not all positive. And I try to write the songs, or not even try, but the songs that I do write they're not for the people who healed everything. They're not for the people who have processed everything. They're for the people who are currently going through it. I try to say the things that people don't say out loud. Those thoughts that everybody, or most everybody, I hope everybody has, not just me, but the thoughts people have that they don't say out loud. And a lot of the process just flows from that. It's cathartic for me in ways. And I hope it's authentic because a lot of it comes from personal places.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that. That's great. What song are you performing, and why did you choose it for the podcast?
So the song performed is I Remain. It's actually relatively new, but I chose it because when I started writing it, it kind of epitomizes the entire process of what I do. A lot of my songs flow naturally on a certain topic. This one I kind of tried to write to cover the concept of why I write. It carries the themes of speaking for those who won't say the things that are in their brain, on their mind. It covers the concepts of continuing on and having hope even in the middle of despair. And a lot of it's personal to me, but a lot of it is also just to embrace kind of my entire ethos in songwriting.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Such a good pick for the podcast. With that, I'm excited to hear the song. He's going to perform the song, and then we're going to get into the lyrics.
Used to have dreams. I was told I could achieve anything that I've learned. Life's a collection of times you get burned, and I would I didn't screw it up.
That was amazing. I always love to hear you perform. I get to see Jeremy perform at the local open mic because we're both living in the same area. What inspired you to write I Remain?
It's part of it. All songs that I write germinate with an idea. Sometimes it's as small as a word that I hear that I like. Other times it's a concept. And this one, I think it started to grow from a moment of frustration, and that's why the first verse is more first person. It's more personal, and it kind of expresses just frustration with the effort you put in sometimes, and you don't see results, just in life in general. But then as I was writing it, I realized that I could do something more with it, and I kind of tried to shift it to explain what I do in general, while still keeping the personal touch to it. So.
With this song and many of your other pieces, you express very deep emotions. Your pseudonym, Desperate Sounds, feels very appropriate for the raw feeling of your lyrics and performances. Could you share why you chose the name Desperate Sounds?
A lot of it came from Desperate Sounds was supposed to be a band, I think.
Yeah.
I tried writing for years with the intent of putting a band together, and I couldn't find the people. And so eventually I shifted to, I'm just going to write songs that are easy to play or designed to be played by one person. And that just, I don't know. It came to me one day. It fit what I did. I was thinking about what I do, how I play, the songs I write, and like a lot of my process, it started with an idea, and it came to me, and I was like, that is what I do. That is, I won't even call it music. It is my desperation, whoever's listening and then connecting with its desperation. That's what they are. I don't care if people call it music. It is the desperation that people feel.
So it's more so describing your music?
That was the intent of it, I think. It was designed to just say, like, that's what I do. I don't write happy songs because the world has plenty of happy songs, and there's not enough people saying the things they feel
And being real.
Yeah, I hope it's real. Like every now and then, I'll twist a thought, put a little extra, creatively speaking, put a little extra on it. But a lot of it comes from a very real place, either through my own life or I've been surrounded by people through life who also just, they've been in those places and people keep it private, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay to keep what you feel private, but I just felt like stylistically it's the music I'm good at writing, and it's some of the things I feel, and somebody has to say it, so I'll do it.
Why don't we get into the lyric breakdown of I Remain, and you can get further into your process and the lyric. So let's get into the lyric breakdown. The first verse goes, I used to have dreams because I was told I could achieve anything. But I've learned that life's a collection of times you get burned. And I won't watch all I've built go up in ashes and smoke while I stay stuck where I am here until I decay.
Yeah, that was the germ of this song, was because a lot of what I write is born in that desperation or the things people don't want to say, or this one actually started just in a bit of frustration with trying to do things, trying to make progress in anything, and you're always told, you can be anything, you can achieve anything, if you can dream it, you can be it. And sorry kids, it's not true. For some people it is, but life's a lot of effort. And sometimes living simply is a lot of effort, let alone achieving something artistically or, beyond the base level of existence. And that can, at least for me, lead to frustration. And so like the first verse is just, as it works into the rest of the song, it's acknowledging that fact. It's, there's the things you want to be. I was going to be a musician when I was in high school. That's what I was going to do. And I do play, but I couldn't be further away from the track I envisioned myself at that time. And so it's an acknowledgement of that. It's an acknowledgement of the frustration. It's also acknowledgement that just life takes you where it takes you.
Are you not happy?
What's that?
Are you not happy with your path in life?
Happy's a relative term. It's been an interesting path. I'm not what people would describe as a happy person, generally speaking, but try to make the best of situations. So you end up where you end up, and that's what the song moves into from there, is just regardless of that, you take where you're at and move in some form. Forward progress is better than no progress, or backwards progress.
Well, you kind of alluded to it, so we should probably read the chorus and you can talk about it some more. And the chorus goes, "So I'm clinging desperately to what I've got, through pain and sorrow, the heartache and loss. While I still have breath and blood in my veins, I remain."
That's
It's deep.
It's the statement. It's what I do. I did use the word desperate purposefully there, to tie in, but also it's the acknowledgement of taking what you have, taking where you're at, any of it, anything you can find that moves you forward, or anything that you find that keeps you where you are. Because forward progress isn't something everybody can do. Some people use all their strength to stay where they are. Some people slide backwards, but it's the process of remaining. It's the process of taking each day as best as you can. It's clinging to the things you have. It's grabbing hold of what positives you can find and using those as motivation, as a life vest, whatever they mean to you and whatever they can do for you.
When I heard this song for the first time, when you said "I remain," I felt like it was like, in spite of it all, I'm still the person like I am. And that's like what's important, is that I'm me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an acknowledgement of, if you're here, you're here. If you are who you are and you're still fighting every day, that you are still there, that you don't have to be this future version of yourself to be. You just exist with what you've got. If you want to make progress, you make progress. I hope everybody makes progress, but it's an acknowledgement that day by day, you fight each battle. Day by day, you stay where you are. You stay who you are. And that'll move you eventually.
I think that's a very positive thing to say. Like, just by staying, you're kind of achieving something in a way. by not losing yourself or not losing hope in a way?
Mm-hmm. I don't write a lot about hope. I use it every now and then. And I think it's an important thing. But the word hope to people who feel hopeless means nothing. It's you get to the point where you feel hopeless because whatever circumstances got you there, and hope is the last thing you want to hear. Smile is the last thing you want to hear, you know. And so sometimes I do have fingers crossed. Another song, you know, there's hope in that song. I have a couple others where I allude to hope a little bit, but then I have some songs that are like existing. If that's all you can do, is what you do. Less about hope sometimes and more about just not giving up. And that's why I said I write a lot of what I do for the people who are in it. These aren't recovery songs. These are, hey, me too. One more day.
A lot of your songs feel like declarations, like you present a clear message, and sometimes it's almost mantra-esque. Do you feel like your music, do you feel like you use your music as a place to reflect or even reassure yourself?
All of my music is rooted somewhere personally. Sometimes it's conflated a little bit for effect, but everything I write is to me as much as anybody else. I kind of lost where I was going with that.
No worries.
But
it was good.
Yeah, I like to seize on central themes and just beat them to death sometimes. But like I said, I feel like not as many people say the things I say. I know there's a lot, but I should say at least around here, around central Pennsylvania, around some of the places I play, I like bluntness. I like purposeful lyrics that just say what I want to say what I'm feeling. I have songs so personal I've never played anywhere. And I love them. They're great songs, and other people would like them too. But all of the things I write are rooted somewhere in there. It just depends on how personal they get in the process, I guess.
I feel like I really relate to you as a songwriter because I feel like we delve into similar topics at times. Like this raw, unfiltered, maybe aggressive, super personal expression. I've realized for me, these songs made me feel like justified in my sorrow, or gave me a place to justify or explain my pain to people in the audience. I felt like it was the only way people could hear or understand what I was feeling. Can you relate to that in any way? Is there any portion of your art that is inspired by external validation?
I think I can relate. I don't talk a lot. And a lot of the music is the things that people like music as entertainment. Even deeper music, even more raw music. There's a part of all music that people want to hear as entertainment. And that creates a space where I can say all the things that I don't want to say in conversation. The things you don't want to even tell the people who are closest to you sometimes. To say the dark thing in a way that people absorb as entertainment. And so it's an outlet for a lot of emotion, a lot of things, a lot of things that I don't want to say, day to day, a lot of things that other people don't want to say. That's why I try to embrace the concept of I write it for other people as well, because it's a lot on my shoulders but it's a lot of personal stuff that when told through the lens of entertainment, when told through the lens of music, it somehow reframes it and makes it a little bit less about me, because if someone can connect with the song, then they're sharing in that. They're either sharing in that burden or they're sharing in that experience. And my goal isn't to burden other people, but, and I share in their burden. If I write a song that speaks to them and takes some of the weight off of them, then that's important too, I think.
Yeah, I think that's worth writing. That makes writing worth it, I mean. Okay, well, we can get into the second verse.
Mm-hmm.
And the second verse goes, I can't accept that what little I have is all I can expect. 'Cause I gave so much of myself now so freely away, just to find so little to replace what I left behind, while I fade into obscurity further each day.
I'd like to say that bridges the frustration of the first verse with the thinking of the third verse, but it doesn't. It's just more frustration, I think, honestly. It's that desire to help other people, which I don't even think I'm that good at, but it's that desire to...
Well, you do it in your way.
Yeah, to give... Some of it speaks to just the personalness of my songs, the energy and the emotion, and then some of it is just life. You feel like you give a lot of yourself away. You give yourself to work. You give yourself to the people in your life. And not all of it's bad. There is some benefit to some of it, but it's just piece after piece after piece you give to somebody. And sometimes what you get in return for that is worthwhile, and then other times you don't get anything, or the thing you get back causes you more stress, or the thing you get back doesn't feel equal to what you gave. And after years of that, I've been doing this for quite a while. Sometimes it feels, and it can feel for other people too, I think, like it's almost a demand, or a, not to be a sob story, but like how much more can I give away without getting something that means something to me, or something that benefits even a little bit of my life, or just something that points me in the right direction, or the direction I want to head. And so a lot of that is just stems from frustration of like, you always find more to give. Even when you think there's nothing left, like every day you find something else to give, and you hope that you get something back for it. Even if it's just to replace what you gave away, even if it's not in excess, even if it doesn't refill you completely, just to fill the hole of what you gave away. And the world feels like it picks pieces of you away. And every time it picks a piece away, you feel smaller, you feel diminished, and so that's kind of what's expressed there. But even then, like tying back into the chorus, even if you feel diminished, even if you feel picked apart, you hold on to what's left. Even if you got nothing back for everything you ever gave, you cling to what you still have. You don't give the last piece away, and you stay where you are.
Do you feel like you guard that piece?
You have to, I think, to a degree. I'm not an outspoken person, but I wouldn't consider myself a guarded person. I try to give anybody anything they need. But So I don't know. I haven't found the bottom of the well yet, at least. So that's good.
I like that saying. If that's a saying, I'm not sure, but I like that sentiment at least. Do you feel like you have any sort of like resentment that fuels this? Like this verse in particular, it kind of feels like it's got this little bit of an edge to it.
I don't think anymore. I used to carry a lot of resentment, but anymore, I think it's more just an acknowledgement. I held on to a lot of anger and a lot of resentment for a long time. And I did reach a point where I figured out how to let a lot of it go. And the aftershocks are there. It ripples through your life feeling that way. But also, some of it's just an acknowledgement. I wrote that verse, but tomorrow I'll still give more away because that's who I am.
Yeah.
It's what I do. And I don't mind it. And I do mind it at the same time. Maybe it's a little bit of a bitterness.
You mind it, but you don't regret it?
Yeah. Like I'll give it every time. I'll give it away with just that hope, that you find something somewhere else to refill it. But you also can't let it, like I said, as long as there's something to give, you still gotta try to.
What refills you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
No ice cream, or I don't know.
You draw from where you can.
It's like are you talking like a soul kind of feeling? Like you feel like you've given pieces away that you don't get in return?
Yeah, I mean, it's all of it. It's love that you give away. It's energy that you give. It's time. You give all of that to people, to the world, to a job, and you just hope on the other side that the sheets balance, that at the end you get some, and some things in life just take, unless you're doing what you love, your job is going to take from you. It's, there are a few people lucky enough that their job is what fuels them. And then, a lot of people, and I don't hate what I do, but also it's not a passion. But people refuel me.
I think we can get into the next section of the song. And the next section goes, I remain steadfast and I remain sure of the ground that I've chosen to stand. I'm holding on to what little I've got till I've got no more strength in these hands, in my hands.
Well, first of all, I like a lyrical bridge because I don't do fancy stuff with the guitar. So lyrics cover that. And that's kind of starting to dip into the antithesis of the song is that, I've spent all this time talking about remaining, holding on to what's there, remaining where you are, no matter where it is. And that is harnessing the power of where you are. That is, even if it's a low spot, if you're still there, if you're still fighting, be sure of where you are. Be sure of the things you have. Hold on to what you have in that moment and stand your ground in that moment.
Like, don't take them for granted? Is that what you mean?
A little bit of that. And also just, it's kind of take stock. Also, you have to be sure of yourself in what ways you can be. Even at your worst, you've got to find the things that you're sure of. You've got to find the values or the things that mean a lot to you. And that's where you root yourself. When everything else is stripped away, you root yourself on that spot, that little bit left that's you and all you. And it's either where you stay if you can't move forward, or that's where you build from.
Well, we can get into the next section too, because I think it definitely that builds into this next section. So that goes, I can't move on because the things I would leave don't deserve to be gone. And I hold the weight on my shoulders of stories untold. And I bear the words of the ones who thought no one could care. If I fall, then what was any of this worth after all? I feel like you build, and then you're just like, but what was it worth? I feel like you gave and then you took it away. In a way, you know what I mean? You're like, you built up this, I'm going to make sure I hold on to all the things that don't deserve to be let go of. And then you're like, but what is that worth? Can you talk about your thought behind that? What were you thinking when you wrote this?
That verse is purposefully constructed, I think, as much as I purposely construct anything. A lot of times I just go with the flow of what I'm writing, but it's built to hopefully not sound too self-important. I always worry about that. But the whole verse goes through that concept of trying to tap into what things people don't want to say, the stories people don't want to tell, because they fear, how will somebody look at me if I say this? That's too dark for someone to hear. A lot of people suffer alone because they don't want to scare somebody with what they say, or they don't want somebody to change their opinion of who they are based off of oh, I always thought you were so happy, or I thought you had it all together, and you don't because you said this thing. And so a lot of that verse is structured it's to say even some of it is, even when I don't feel like writing or don't feel like I'm making an impact, I want to keep writing because maybe somebody else will say it, but maybe nobody else ever will. And not in a self-important way, but just in sometimes you have to speak the darkness because a lot of people don't want to, so those are the stories unheard. Those are the things that I try to carry for other people, in a figurative sense. I feel like I sound too self-important, but and then but that last line.
You sound genuine. Genuine.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry I talked over you.
I was wandering anyway. The last line, it's a reassurance to me. It's a reminder to me that because of all these things, because of the bridge builds, the first three lines of that last verse build to a point of this is why you do this. It's a reminder to myself, this is why you do this. And if you fall, if you don't remain, if you fall victim to all the things you warn other people about, then there's no point to anything you did. It's a show by example. Do
you believe that?
To a degree. I mean,
you think one mistake invalidates all of the good you've done?
It depends. But it's not worth the risk. You build a base foundation of, when you spend a lot of time in the darkness, you have to remind yourself sometimes that you can move on from it and you can move past it.
What is the darkness?
Just anything. I'm older than I look. And a long and storied history. And I've had struggles in life, and I've been at the darkest I can be at points. And that was years ago. It wasn't. But it lingers with you, even as you change, even as you move on with life, some of that clings to you. I was in the Army for 12 years. I've been to Iraq, I've been to Afghanistan. I've had friends commit suicide. I've been married 3 times. Life isn't always what you pictured. I grew up here. I grew up outside of Clearfield, Pennsylvania, and there it's easy when you're a kid to project what you think you're going to do or think you're going to be, and life's more complicated than that. There's people who get it right the first time, and then there's people who feel like they never get it right. But again, I won't even call it progress, but it's momentum. It's forward momentum. It's, you move. You carry the scars maybe. If you're lucky, you don't. But you keep moving. You find your spot. You find what drives you. You find what you can hold on to, and that's where you stay, and that's where you move from. So,
would you say you write to communicate, or is there any level of interpretation that's left up to the people who hear it?
I think there's a certain level of interpretation. I do get specific sometimes, but a lot of times I speak in larger concepts. When you're dealing with emotion, sometimes it's easier to write in a larger concept and let people pick what that means to them. But there are moments when I say bluntly and specifically what I want to say. But I think as a whole, I embrace tone and general concepts and let kind of people find the part of the song that means something to them, especially a chorus. I like writing a chorus that seizes on an idea, a feeling, a concept, and then letting people kind of find their way through it to what it means to them. My music's not for everyone, but it's for the people that need it. I've always kind of told myself that. I don't have illusions that a lot of my lyrics have mass appeal, but that's never the goal. The music meant a lot to me growing up, and the music that spoke to me the most is the music I loved the most. It was the music that stuck with me. It wasn't necessarily always the music that was most popular. And I think that's what influenced a lot of my songwriting and just my playing is, there's songs that appeal to everybody, and those are great. I wish I knew how to write those. But the people who my songs mean something to are the people they're for. And I hope everybody else at least enjoys them. But
well, we're coming to about the end. Mm-hmm. And I've started to ask this of the people on the podcast. Most of the people that listen to this podcast are actually fellow musicians mm-hmm. and songwriters. So what advice do you have for a fellow songwriter?
Trust what your heart says. when you write. I mean, you got to get the meter right. You've got to find the rhyme, but in the end, if I write what I believe in, if I write what I feel, it'll come out in the end. It'll mean something. And so I'd say that my advice would be write with your heart.
Well, we've reached the end. I really appreciate that you took the time to come out and play and let me pick your brain for a little bit. It was just great to hear from you and hear your thoughts.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Oh, definitely. It was great. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And thank you for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please follow us. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find all this. You can listen to all the other podcasts wherever you find podcasts. All of Jeremy's content will be linked in the description. And of course, as always, we'll have a full blog post out on Jeremy where you can find his links and such, but you can also read more about him in general. Thank you guys for listening. And again, thank you so much for coming today, Jeremy.